decided yesterday at the exec board meeting.
But that's not Cobrua. That's the executive board, not the
Same thing, exec board. But no, but
not the
we want
Cobrua.
to suspend all three now? No, we didn't do that.
No, we didn't.
I think we should have a meeting in July because we have to know what's going on. The delegates have to know what's going on in July. So I would ask you to change it to that we suspend June and August, and we have a Cobrua meeting in July, like we did last year and the year before that.
Sid?
Let's discuss the amendment to adjourn this meeting for just 2 months. So that's the discussion that will be on the floor now. Do you want to adjourn for 2 months? Do you think rather than going to, if you say yes, that'll be it. If you say no, then we go to Alan's motion to adjourn for 2 months.
3 months. Well, let's ask the delegates how they feel about it. Yes, ma'am.
Elaine Harris, hi. I'm questioning what's the logic behind your decision either way? Why not have all three? I just like to hear the logic of it.
Nobody here in the summer.
I am.
We need 40 delegates to make it a quorum so we can do anything.
I understand the concept of a quorum, but if we didn't have a quorum today, would we have all left or would we have still discussed?
Well, we couldn't vote on
We
anything.
might not vote, but we might talk. Again, I'm here all year round. I would love to see a meeting every month, to know on a month-to-month basis what's happening.
Well, that's what you would like. Let's see what the rest of the delegates do.
Thank you.
Any other delegates have anything else to say? Do you want to meet in July or do you not want to meet in July?
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Chairman, you're the chairman. From the response, the yes seemed to have that they want to have a meeting in July.
Okay.
Why don't we raise our hands? Who wants the meetings in July, suspend them in, there you go. I think the yeses have it.
Count, Dave. Count. All right, raise your hands if you want to meet in July. David, count, please. How many do we have as a quorum? Well, how many don't want it? Dave, count to 40. We can vote too. So we're not meeting in July. We are meeting in July, 22 to 19. 22 said no. 22 said no. So we're not meeting, the Cobrua will not meet in July, the executive board will meet in July. 22 to 19 means that said no.
Count them again.
All those in favor of meeting in July, raise your hand. How many people don't want to meet in July? $25. So the Cobrua Delegates meeting will not meet in July. And the motion is June, July, and August.
Why we have an exec board meeting in July? Because we can't do anything. Because we can't
You
provide
asked for it.
delegates with anything. Why are we having an exec board meeting in July when we can't accomplish anything? Because everything we decide there, the delegates can't vote on, because we don't have a meeting. They can't vote till September, so why am I going to a meeting?
So let's cancel the executive board meeting in July.
Why am I going to a meeting in July when we can't vote on anything until September? Again, because you can't cancel it because you don't have another exec meeting until July. So you have an exec meeting that is worthless because whatever you do there, you can't
Until
vote on
September.
it until September. It doesn't make sense. And you can't cancel the exec board meeting because you don't have another exec board meeting until July. So what we're doing now is having a meeting in July that doesn't mean anything until September. Doesn't make sense.
We'll do it in September. Come on, we're not morons. All right, let's move on. All right. Judy, would you like, please, I'd like you to address the delegates, please.
Good morning, everyone. If you weren't here back in December when I first came on board, basically going to give you the same spiel. I started with Century Village about 4 years ago, working with the corporate offices for the executive vice president. And then I was also working with Dan Cruz in the maintenance section of corporate, dealing with all three villages. So I'm very familiar with a lot of your vendors. I worked with them on a lot of different projects for all three villages. And worked very, very closely with the Monica Wells in the corporate offices. It's been a nice journey since I got here. I've met a lot of really wonderful residents. I appreciate all of your help and all of your time that you take to come in and let us know for any questions or concerns that we have. But I look forward to many, many years of working with all of you. Thank you so much.
Treasurer's report.
Good morning. Our month-ending balance in the checking account is $29,833. Our CD is $50,115 for a total of $79,949. This is $10,000 more than we had last month, and that is due to the money that we received from Comcast for our in-house channel. Any question? Thank you.
Security report. Do you want to address the other thing first?
Yeah, I'd like to make a statement on security. The M&O committee has a subcommittee on security. Mike Lemongelli is the chairman of that committee, and he would like to make a statement.
Okay, recently, some of you may have found out that Delegates, who is now running security, till we get a permanent chief, has a real estate license. It's no surprise to me. We know that she had a license. There's no law against someone having another job while they work here, as long as it doesn't conflict with the job that they do here. In other words, she can't sell real estate while she's working here for security. She does not do that. I can assure you that she does not do that. So there is no violation just because she has a real estate license. I just wanted to clear the air, so when she comes up here, you know that she has not done anything wrong, and I continue to support her as being the best person we ever had in security.
Thank you. April's report. I have 149 fire rescue calls, 266 commercial vehicles locked. We confiscated 39 expired IDs. We patrolled 2,969 miles. We had 2,805 pre-authorized calls to each gate, for both gates. We have 898 food delivery tracked, 803 contractors tracked for the month of April. Any questions?
Any questions for security from anybody?
Annalise, thank you first for your job. I appreciate what you're doing. Secondly, is there any method of processing someone that's dumping illegally, a contractor or a commercial vehicle dumping illegally in the dumpster, if you only have a photograph of their license plate?
Unfortunately, we would have to be calling once, if you witness the incident, we can make a report on that. Afterwards, we don't.
What's the follow-up afterwards if you only have the license?
We can see like the name of, if you have the license plate and if you have the name of the contractor, we can get back to our records and follow with the company.
They don't give you their name. They take
It's a
Max
private,
Max.
like a handyman or, yeah. If it is a bigger company, we can contact them and tell.
Is there a possibility of prohibiting them coming through the gate once you have a license plate or a consistent vendor that's using the system?
Well, we have a approved vendor list at the gates, but if it is a small contractor, most of the time it comes as a guest of the resident, so it's hard to track something like small.
Thank you.
Elaine Harris, hi. I'm unclear when this question comes up, but will you be talking today about getting a new, what's happening on getting a new security chief? Delegates or something?
We are in process, it's with me, we're in process. By June, we for sure should have someone already.
Is it possible to know what was wrong with the last one? Quick. What the hell? Like your first respect.
Anything else on security?
By June, enough June.
I'm
we'll
waiting
have
on
a
that
judge.
one. Annalise, this is nothing, actually you're doing a really nice job, and as long as Mike and M&O is content with what you are doing, that's fine. My problem though is, I'm under the assumption that the security guards need a license to be security guards, some kind of a state licensing. And we have a contract with United Security, which provides that we're supposed to have X number of licensed security people who are actually licensed to patrol. Do you have that license?
All the company and its employee is in compliance with the state requirements.
Do you have that license? You personally? Because my question really goes to our contract. Because if our contract calls for X number of security people who are able to patrol and perform security functions, that's what we're entitled to. And while you're doing a great job as an administrator, I question whether our contract is being fulfilled because we don't have that last licensed security guard. And I think that's something I'd like the M&O really to take a look at, because it seems to me if we're paying for X number of security people, that's what we should have. So I leave it in the hands of M&O unless they can give me some answer at this time.
Security falls under the state of Florida.
Can't hear you.
The state of Florida requires a security company to have licensed employees, which is fulfilled by United Security.
Well, that
And
wasn't.
Dana Lease is not a patrolling officer. She is the administrator.
Then we're short. That was my point. That we are then short one person who is able to patrol when necessary.
And that's being hired. People quit. You're always short. You can always be short a person, but you always replace them.
That's right, but it's 7 or 8 months already.
Because
That's my only.
there's been difficulty getting a qualified supervisor.
Alan,
No,
yes, Stanley.
I'm Stanley, I changed your
Stanley,
name.
you don't even look alike. But anyway, my point just is to take a look at our contract and double check what we're entitled to.
What you're saying, Sid, is that the contract calls for a chief and we don't have a chief. Is that correct? So that we're short one person in the contract, correct? That's not our fault. If we're trying to hire people, and if they don't stay, what are we going to say? We're going to give it the whole contract because people won't stay? But what we're trying to do is fill that. And I think that based on the last M&O committee meeting, we're close to getting someone that will stay here and take an interest in Century Village. It won't be, they won't just quit. They've been here for a while, and we'll see what happens. But as far as filling it, I know what you're saying. What we're paying for someone who's not here. Is that correct? That's what you're really saying? We'll look into that. We'll get back to you.
Hi, Sheila Shapiro. Hi. You mentioned every month about the pre-authorized calls to both gates. Are those on the line that goes directly to the automatics? It is. So nobody's calling anymore the gates separately. They're all calling that line.
They are called, these pre-authorized calls are called direct to the gate, not use the automated system, not using the automated system.
Well, can I make a suggestion that a notice be put every month in the Cobrua newspaper? That people, because there's the phone number for them to call the authorized line?
Yes, that's a great suggestion, and
in answer to your question, there's a list there's a sheet in the clubhouse listing all of those numbers, and there will be numbers put in the Cobrua, next Cobrua edition.
Stephen, about 2.5 weeks ago, we had a car transporter that carries at least 10 cars that came into Wolverton and stopped at Wolverton C. They uploaded a car, the bus came, other cars came, they had to be turned around at the end of the circle. How was that allowed in a transporter?
well, it's not allowed, but sometimes we have the 18-wheelers, certain associations allows 18-wheelers, and we score the 18-wheelers, and most of the time we use the bus trails to park the car there for the time being, and we communicate that with transportation here. So could be, or maybe was a smaller car, a smaller truck, a 14-wheeler, or a 16-wheeler. So I can check on the incident and see if it was something. But we work together with transportation in case we need to park a large vehicle around the village.
what you're saying is most of the associations don't allow 18-wheelers in their association. If this is less than 18, so to keep them out.
Dave?
Anything else for security?
Al?
Thank you, President Weinstein. Two questions.
Excuse me, we started that anybody, as long as security is here, and they leave, anybody can address security. Fred, go ahead.
Fred Hadley from Cornwall. My first question is regarding gate entry procedures involving media. I did see a letter from Site Administrator Millington saying that there may have been an issue with one of the guards and that the supervisor, presumably you, had taken action. Specifically, what action did you take, and can you state clearly and definitively what the policy is in Century Village, Boca, if a resident wishes to be interviewed in their association by a member of the media? So what action did you take, if any, and what is the policy, so that we don't constantly have the situation where a reporter from CBS with obvious credentials on a car was phoned in and was told before even checking the gate entry info, don't allow media. So can you address that issue of media, please?
I went over with all the employees about the media access. If they are coming as a guest to association, they are allowed in.
Okay, that's very clear. And my second question is, I'm following up on Delegate Schwartz's statement. She asked the question, I don't believe you answered it. If you did, please answer it again, I apologize. The question is, as the manager, acting or otherwise, of this security company, are you not supposed to have an MB security manager license? Do you have such a license from the state of Florida, yes or no?
The company is required to have one MB license, and we are in compliance with that.
But your name is not on that license.
No, I work
Do you have a security guard or D license?
I work under United Security as an administrator. I don't.
So would it be fair to say that you personally do not have any accreditation from the state of Florida to either be a security guard or to manage a security company, personally?
Again, the company is.
No, not the company, just you yourself. You're an employee. You draw a paycheck.
I guess the question was
Do
asked.
you have a state license, yes or no?
The company has all the requirements.
Okay, thank you very kindly.
Anything else for security? I gather that the security company itself must have, somebody in that association must have that license, and they have it. It's accredited. It doesn't mean she has to have it, or Joe has to have it. It's the association, the security company has the license, and that's all the state of Florida says they must do. All right. Is the blood bank here?
Thank you.
Thanks. Donna's not here? All right. COP? Dave, you want to report on the COP program? Michael? No. The Harvey is sick, and it's one of those things. We'll have to catch it in September. Community Affairs, Stanley Siegel.
Good morning, everyone. The Department of Transportation is going to be doing a survey on Palmetto Park Road. Pardon me? You really want to look at an old man like me? You just built up my ego. All right, let me start again. Do you see me good? The Department of Transportation is going to be conducting a survey on Palmetto Park Road regarding an entranceway into the turnpike. We hope it's successful, and if it is, it'll probably take a couple of years before it even gets started, because the county has to budget the finances and they have to get funds from different organizations. But that will help relieve the traffic that we face on Glades Road, 441 Lyons Road. It's just horrendous. So hopefully this will, solve some of the issues. This being an election year, we're going to have a number of meet and greets, mostly at the temple, actually, all of them at the temple probably. We have a smorgasbord of potential candidates ranging from governor, United States senator, federal representative, state representative, and a slew of judicial candidates. Again, let me emphasize, there's bottlenecks all over the place, so be careful. Two of the worst bottlenecks is when you go up Lyons Road north towards Atlantic Avenue, and the other one is when you go on Lyons Road south to southwest 18th Street. What happens is 2-3 lanes converge into one, and it ties it up. So if you can figure out a better way to go, that is my suggestion. Tonight, the West Boca Community Council will have its meeting at 7:30 in Boca Lago. There'll be the judicial candidates, and if you're interested, just come over. There's coffee and lots of cookies afterwards. Any questions regarding community affairs?
All right. M&O, Stanley.
Promise to keep my hands down. Good morning again. First, let me preface my report by saying, although we have not had a full-time security chief for a number of months, I must say that Dan Elise did an admirable job as administrator for the company and as taking over and working here, doing double duty as for the site. There's always problems, people in and out, there's traffic problems, but she did a fantastic job. And to do, just to challenge her is ridiculous. All right, let me get into my report. The committee met on Wednesday, April 18th with management, President with Judy Milton, Vice President Monica Wells, Senior Vice President and CFO of Recreation, Dan Cruz, Vice President and Regional Facility Manager, and also present was Laura Coffey, attorney for the leading companies. Dan brought us up to date on various projects. The south perimeter work has been completed. They're in the final phase of putting down the thermoplastic striping with the reflectors, so within a few days all of that should be done. The elevator lift is just about complete, needs a little touch-up here and there, but otherwise that's in full swing. Backstage renovations are being worked on. Theater sound system improvements and TV screens will be part of this renovation project. New pool signs are in place and updated regulations are on there. Bus-only signs will be reviewed to see if we can put some in the Wolverton section. Comcast and SunWest have commenced a hotspot project where we're going to put in Wi-Fi and the various pools and tennis courts. The chemical controls for the pools have passed inspection. We also have chlorine as a backup in the event something happens. Walk path lighting is being checked on to determine what areas need additions or improvements. Laura Coffey, the attorney, reported that March collections totaled $17,850. She also informed us that foreclosures are starting to speed up a little. The banks probably feel they want to get their money or get rid of these dead properties. Dan Elise brought us up to date on various security items. Just to narrow it down, we are up optimistic on having a new chief of security in place by June 1st. Oh my God. Guards were instructed to curb conversations at the front desk and to do so that they do it in a nice manner, that they don't antagonize the residents. We asked for a review of the training process for the security guard, which we'll hear at the next meeting that we have with management. The rules regarding what each association allows and what days of the week for contracts to work is being reviewed and updated. Residents are asked to update their telephone numbers with the ID office, and the gate personnel can have the proper numbers. Sometimes we have a hassle, there's an old number and people are yelling, I want to get in, so please update your numbers, make sure that we have the correct number, telephone number that is. Omar Figueroa, the bus manager for Academy, brought us up to date on the maintenance. Don't forget our buses, our fleet of buses, we started to get new ones in 2004, and it's an aging process, and occasionally, more than occasionally, they have to go in for maintenance. But the good thing about the contract is that Academy supplies us with a bus of their own so that we have the full fleet and we're not short any buses. Bus routes and shelters are being reviewed because of the change in the fact that we have new bus lanes in place on the south side. Next year, we're going to be working on the north side. We were looking into having CPR training, and we're waiting for Red Cross to get back to us to give us an answer as to can they be done, or will it be just an instructional type of program. As a reminder, and I say this all the time, complaints and compliments, which are rare, should be completed on a form that's at the front desk at the information booth. For residents to interfere with personnel doing their job is completely out of line. They have a job to do, and interfering with them can cause distraction, possibly cause a problem or an accident. Please follow the simple rules and bring it to management's attention in the proper way. Any questions regarding my report?
Shapiro Heights. I noticed that there's a new structure out on the exterior of the indoor pool, a chain link fence with now a green curtain around it. What is that going to be used for?
Excuse me, I didn't hear the question.
On the exterior wall of the indoor pool, there's been erected a chain link fence structure with a green curtain along it. Do you know what that's for?
I'll find out, I don't know.
Yeah, it was like 2 or 3 days ago I noticed it. And today there's a green curtain like they use at the tennis courts.
I will look into find out what it is. Please, keep your questions at this point to my report. Anything that you want to comment on regarding Management Operations Committee, you can do during the Good and Welfare period.
Helene Harris Height, I think this relates to what you were talking about. You spoke about the signs being replaced at the pools. I was wondering if there was any reason why they were moved from the right side to the left side, I think everywhere, not just in Height. And my question is because they are no longer visible from the seating area where people are under the awning. It seemed an unfortunate choice. It was a good place where they were before, and now they're not visible.
As much as I avoid going to the pool, there were so many changes in the regulations that the fact that it's left or right, what's the difference? When you're sitting under the canopy, unless you have binoculars, there's no way you're going to see it.
You could see it before, you cannot see it now.
But in order to see what the 15, 16, 17 regulations are, you really have to get up close. If you're sitting under the canopy snoozing like I would if I went there, you couldn't see, you can't read it, it's too far away. But if you're interested to know what's going on, and this has been brought up to all the ADA regulations, you just mosey over to the sign. The fact that it went from right side to left side, I don't know if it's that important.
You don't even know it exists now because you can't see that it's there.
If you go to the pool house, you know it's there. If you go for a drink of water, you know it's there.
May I continue this with you later on, when you're at height?
Tell me when, so I know when not to be in.
Anything else? I never know. All right, Cable Committee Assistant Chairman Stanley C.
Okay, we're back to work on Mansfield. That's the, there's a lot of work to be done with the wiring in the 3-story units. Joe from Mosca Builders, who's overseeing it on behalf of the association, was away for a week, but now it's commenced, so they're going to be working on Mansfield during the week. The 4 stories, they're going to be working on weekends, Friday and Saturday, or Friday and Sunday, depending on which association we're talking about. One of the things that we found out when I was present at when they were working at Newcastle, you know, each high-rise building has 4 units in a line. So when we looked at the first green box that's outside, there should have been 12 cable lines going into that box for each unit. When we took the cover off, there were 54 lines in there. So people were splicing and stealing power from other people, but that's not necessary under the new system. Everything is strong enough to give you good service. So let me read, there's a schedule that they're going to be working on in the high-rise units, and they're working on Mansfield, which is going to take a little while because it's more involved on the 3-story buildings. And they'll just continue because then they'll probably do Brighton, Preston, and Dorset. Any questions on Comcast?
Parliamentary Chairman Sid Schwartz.
Formed the Parliamentary Committee to assure that the procedures at our delegates' meetings conform to the requirements of our bylaws and Robert's Rules of Parliamentary Procedure. Following is the report that the committee made to the Executive Board yesterday. The report was discussed and approved. A motion will be prepared and set for a vote at their September meeting. If the motion is passed at the Executive Board, it will then be put to you, the delegates, at your September meeting. It is presented to you today to bring you into the discussion. Our bylaws require us to follow Robert's rules. The bylaws also, in Article 4, Section 7, allow the chair, with the consent of the delegates, to suspend or modify the rules. Over the years since our bylaws were written, there have been several updates to Robert's rules. Also, over the years, various Cobrua presidents have modified some of our procedures to promote efficiency or to expand the participation of delegates and non-delegates who come to the meetings. The committee has reviewed our bylaws, our current procedures, and the revised rules. We conclude our procedures meet the spirit and intent of the rules, if not always their form. We also conclude our meetings run smoothly. There is no need to make any procedural change to fix what is not broken. Where there are a few procedures adopted over the years which deviate from the revised Robert's Rules, the committee recommends that the delegates ratify and confirm these non-conforming rules that have always worked for us. To do this, the committee recommends that our president prepare a motion in accordance with our bylaws to present to the delegates at the September meeting. There are just 6 procedures for that the motion will address. The first will concern the agenda. The motion would allow our recording secretary to continue to prepare the agenda as a general guide for the meeting. It would still allow the delegates to continue to use old business, new business, and good and welfare excuse me, raise issues not specifically set out in the agenda. The revised rules would not permit us to do this. 2, roll call. The motion would allow us to continue to use our sign-in sheets as a replacement for a formal roll call. 3, old business. The revised Roberts rules have eliminated the category old business as an agenda item. The new agenda item is called unfinished business, and it limits the issues that delegates can raise. Our proposed motion would change the agenda item to read old business, unfinished business, but continue to allow delegates to raise any Cobrua or M&O issue raised but not answered at prior meetings. 4, approval of minutes. The revised rules call for the president to call for approval of the minutes and eliminates the motion to approve and a seconding of the approval. Our proposal will continue to allow the Cobrua secretary to ask for additions, changes, and corrections, and continue to require a motion to approve the minutes and a seconding. 5, committee reports. As is our custom, following his report, the M&O chair will take questions on the report. We would continue to allow other delegate questions for M&O, which were not raised in the report, to be raised at old business, new business, or good and welfare. This would not have been permitted under the revised rules. 6, non-delegate good and welfare. Questions re security from non-delegate residents can be raised following the report from security. This would not have been allowed under the revised rules. It may sound a little complicated, but basically all it is ratifying and saying that we can continue to hold our meetings and they will conform to our bylaws and to Robert's rules. And again, that will be put before you in September, and hopefully I'll have it written out so you'll have a copy in front of you, which will be much easier for you to understand. And there's one other thing that the committee has brought to the executive board, which you would like to pass in that same motion. The first item under old business, unfinished business, would be a report from the Cobrua first or second vice president, which would answer any question from the prior meeting that had been taken under advisement or noted or otherwise left unanswered. This new item would assure no question would fall between the cracks and no delegate or resident is left without an answer to their question. And that is my report. Any questions?
You don't have to memorize it. You will all have a copy of it. Sid just told you on your seats at the September meeting, so you can read it, go along with it, know what it's all about before we get to vote on it.
But the
Any
basic
questions?
thing is there would be no changes. We're doing this so that we can continue to hold our meetings the way we have, because they seem to go well. They're a little lengthy sometimes, we get a little restless, but basically everybody gets to say what they want to say, and that's what's important.
Will there be, Colleen Harris, hi, will there be discussion at the September meeting before the vote?
Oh, absolutely. There'll be a vote and then a second and then discussion, and nothing will be done without discussion.
Anything else, parliamentary? Yes. Wesley.
I was a delegate for 20 years, and the meetings really took, even lengthy meetings, did not take much longer than an hour, maybe an hour and a quarter. It seems now that some of the delegates just want to hear themselves heard. They keep repeating the same thing. And I think one of the suggestions in that is that if somebody got up before you and said the same thing you intend to say, please don't say it, and the meetings will not be so late.
Thank you, Dorothy. And we did discuss the length of the meetings, and we did discuss how some things are repeated over and over again. We've also discussed limiting making a time limit for delegates to express themselves. We discussed it, and we could do it with a motion, but we thought that it's best not to, because it's very rare that somebody does go on and on. For the most part, we're civil and we speak for a minute or two, and we get on with things. So unless this situation really gets bad, we didn't find there's any need to limit the time that a delegate can speak. Anything else?
Thank you, Sid. We're going to old business. Any old business from the delegates? Okay.
Hi, my name is Lynn Martin, and I'm speaking about something that's old business, but it's also, if something is broken, majorly broken, why not fix it instead of removing it or getting rid of it? What I'm talking about is the recycling center, the little recycling center that we had on the side. We're supposed to be a progressive people who are caring for the environment. And now I know that your objections are that it was getting messy.
Florida statute. Florida statute does not have recycling. All they recycle is metal. All you did was create havoc, piling those plastic bags which are not recyclable out there and making
Then other places are doing the same illegal thing. What do we do with all our recycling? Plus the fact that there are other areas, other buildings that are recycling.
Well, talk to your director, your president, and see if they'll have the bins, because every time you put garbage in the recycling bin, it's a $250 fine each incident.
Okay.
I won't subject furniture to that, so wherever you live, speak to your president.
Excuse me, we have not denied anyone who lives in Century Village to be progressive. We're just changing the location of where you can be progressive. We're changing it from here, which was a disgrace. You're coming out of $1 million clubhouse, and you make a left-hand turn, and you think you're in an urban community that is a disgrace. So what we've done is we've settled that problem, and we have not, like you or anyone else in Century Village, the right to recycle. All you have to do is go to your board of directors, have them approve it in the association. If they approve it, that's it.
All right, can I please finish
Yeah,
what I'm
sure.
saying? As far as recycling goes for the individual buildings, when the snowbirds come back, that same problem of getting garbage all around the area is going to occur again, because there's not going to be enough baskets. Let me finish.
I didn't say anything.
Okay, I have gone to my association and not gotten anywhere. I am desperate, and there are a lot of people that are desperate to throw their garbage, their recycling, elsewhere, and we're going anywhere we can. If this problem, if we had the old recycling cans where it was, all we had to do was to use robocalls explaining the expense of putting garbage and things that shouldn't be in there, and how expensive it is.
If you really want to recycle and you know the rules of recycling, then why do I have to tell you what the rules are? You should know. And as a result, let me tell you what happened here. And it happens in the associations too, the people who are recycling do not recycle properly. They put stuff in there that cannot be recycled. They put them in plastic bags. It looks terrible. So once again, let me remind you that if you want to recycle, we are not taking the opportunity away from you. All you have to do is convince your association to go along with it. If they don't agree, if I wanted to recycle, and my association did not agree with me, I would find other means of going somewhere. If it was that important to me, I would find a place to recycle. But the reason why you can't find a place to recycle is because the state of Florida does not have a law that says you must recycle. So you have a problem if you want to recycle. That's it. I know that you don't want to hear that answer, but that's the answer.
Any other old business? Good.
Just to continue on recycling a minute. Didn't the problem only come up after the Republic cut out the two pickups a week and switched to one?
No, even when we did that, it was bad, Ted. Even when we went to 2 pickups a week, the garbage wasn't there. There wasn't as much that was not recyclable materials there, but it was there. That's why we did it. Because let's face it, let's be honest about it. If there wasn't a problem there, we would not have changed. Why would we change something if there's no problem?
We didn't change, you didn't change, we didn't change cutting out the number of pickups.
The M&O committee changed that.
No, the M&O committee, as I understand, did not cut down the number of pickups from 2 to 1.
No, not the
county. The M&O committee did not cut out the number of pickups.
No.
Correct.
No.
The county did.
What we did was, we recommended...
When the county had 2 pickups a week,
right,
you could come with a plastic bag, dump the plastic bag into the dumpsters, and take the plastic bag away with you, as many people did.
And many people did.
Right. No, I'm not sure of it. When there were 2 pickups a week, you did not have to
There were
buy...
white plastic bags on the ground.
Not when there were 2 pickups a week?
Yes, because if there was... Let's be honest about it. If there was no problem there, why would we cut it out? I don't care if you want to recycle. I'm here to represent people who recycle or don't recycle. I'm here to represent everyone.
Right.
And
when there were 2 pickups a week, you didn't have the problem.
The problem was it looked lousy. That's what the problem was. The problem was that people were putting garbage there that did not belong there, and when you move it to the associations, they do the same thing. It's not that we did not give them the opportunity. We bent over backwards to give them the opportunity. You think we wanted to do this? We didn't want to do this.
People all you want, then. Go through Fanshawe.
I'm not going to say. I'm talking about outside by the clubhouse.
We have,
when there were 2 pickups a week.
Pick up on Friday. Go on Saturday in Fanshawe, and you'll see all the bulk items put out on Saturday because nobody listens. They do what they want to do. So by having recycling wouldn't help you at all. Not at all. And Florida doesn't recognize it.
Then don't confuse it with the bulk items, which are a problem. But they're a problem because if someone has a furniture delivery on a Saturday or Sunday or Monday, they put their furniture out then. That's a problem, but that's not what we're talking about here. We did not have the piles of plastic bags out there when there were 2 pickups a week. M&O committee did not cut out from 2 to 1. The garbage pickup people did that on their own.
But Ted, if there were 2 pickups, it did not solve the problem. Trust me. It would look the same whether we had 1 pickup or whether we had 2 pickups. That's why we changed it, because if 2 pickups solved the problem, why would we stop it? Why would I vote to stop something that's working? It doesn't make sense. The only reason why I agree that we should move it to the associations is that when I came out of here, I parked my car in the south lot, and let me tell you, I was ashamed to say that I lived in Century Village for what the people did there, and I had guests here. I've had political people come here, commissioners and judges that wanted to see it, and other political people who did not live here. And when I took them out there, I said to myself, am I crazy? This is Century Village is gorgeous. We're working on roads, we're doing landscape. We have changed Century Village in the last 10 years, and we go out there and people who don't care make it look like it's a slum. And that's why we changed it.
Very simply, when you take your garbage and it goes to the dump, they magnetize all the metal. That's the only thing recyclable because it's got value in Florida. Everything else gets burned in the incinerator. Whether you put it in a separate carton, or you put it in a separate box, or a separate bag, everything gets burned in the state of Florida except metal.
Do you foresee them doing away with the cardboard recycling as well, for the same reason?
You want to know something? I've thought about it. To tell you the truth, I've thought about it. Because that's an association and it shouldn't be discussed here, but I'll tell you, in Cornwall, I tell them as their president, if they keep violating it, I am going to take it away. But you want to know something?
Then you'll have 3 pickups a week and you'll be paying for that. You'll be paying extra for that.
Let me tell you, we cannot control what the people do here. And eventually what's going to happen is they're going to take away privileges that they now have because they abused them. And that's what the deal is.
If we take away the yellow dumpsters and we take away the recycling here, then we're going to be paying for extra pickups. The association is going to have to be paying for extra pickups.
That's an association problem that I'm not going to discuss here.
Any other old business? New business? No new business, all right. Go ahead.
I have a question about the safety zones that were put in throughout the village. When you're driving on this, in the center, there's that thing that's in the middle with the trees. Is it a possibility of placing a single sign at the end of it indicating that you should not continue straight into it, as opposed to an arrow saying go around it?
There are yellow lines to direct you as you drive.
There are yellow lines everywhere, except if you'll notice when we come over here, outside over here, it says, don't turn here, it has a sign.
Well, so far.
Excuse me, Stanley, you ready? Let me finish.
Well,
you're telling me there's no signs. Every place has a sign with yellow lines. Question is it that hard to put a single arrow indicating go to the right of that safety zone?
there are reflectors, large reflectors now, in addition to the reflectors on the floor. So if you don't see the reflectors, I can't help you. I ride around this village constantly. New England, Century Village Boulevard, and I don't see too many of the curbs with black tire marks.
I didn't realize all knowledge is up on the front.
No, that's not true. That's not true.
You shouldn't be sarcastic. Because I'm not being sarcastic with you, I'm just telling you the facts.
There's a divider on a roadway, and if you're talking about driving straight into the divider and you're worried about recycling, oh my God. Oh. Any other new business?
Mr. President, can I make one more comment?
Yeah, sure.
The purpose, in Century Village, we have a 20-mile-an-hour speed limit, which most people don't follow anyway. But when you're riding on those roads, you shouldn't be speeding. So you see all the reflectors, and on the new calming zones, we put up additional reflectors. So if you're riding at the normal pace, you shouldn't be hitting the curbs.
Any more new business?
Elaine Harris Height. I'm getting some questions in my association about bug problems. I know that we're responsible inside our own apartments. Does Century Village do anything? If you bomb in your apartment and all the bugs go away, I'm sorry, what's the, oh my God? It's
Finish, ma'am.
Address your...
Our question is, in addition to whatever we do in our apartments and what our association does Century Village do anything also helping us control the bug and animal and snake problem?
Yeah, Century Village, we spray for rodents, we protect rodents, we spray for bugs. Every association does it on their own. West does it for the clubhouse in their area that they're responsible for. We all do it. That's not going to stop the horse blowing in your apartment or next door. I'm coming into your apartment.
But West doesn't come.
First Service does. First Service does. First Service does.
But not on Sen West's dime?
No,
or
Sen
just
West
Association's
probably no.
dime?
No.
So this would be brought completely to the association?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Any other new business? Good welfare for the delegates. It's coming later.
Ira Toback, Dorset. I'd like to remind the delegates that the second Tuesday in September is 9/11. It's also Rosh Hashanah for those of us that observe the Jewish holiday.
Thank you. Thank you, we'll look into it.
Charles Holick, Exeter. Since we're not going to be meeting until September, would you go over the summer bus schedule? Everybody should know.
Summer bus schedule. They're out on the door, they're posted.
All the bus schedules are posted.
It's a Jewish holiday, we make adjustments. We don't know what the day will be, but there will be an adjustment that it will not be on a Jewish holiday. We've been changing it ever since I was on the, I don't ever remember us not changing it. I'm not Jewish, and I don't mind if you change the day for the meeting. I think
For the delegates.
I think it's a respect thing. I think it's a respect thing. I think that if the people feel that they can't come here because they're religious, we should respect that. And I can say that because I'm a Catholic and it doesn't affect me.
When might we count on being notified of the September date?
Well, it's always the second Tuesday, so now we'll have to see if there's an adjustment.
If there's an adjustment.
Will be made.
Some of us do make plans, so.
We'll let you know.
Robocall, we'll have a robocall to everybody in the village. Put everybody at the lecture wall. All right, any other good welfare from the delegates?
Yeah, me. I'm not a delegate, but I'm a board member. I believe most of us were appointed by our presidents to represent our associations. Is that correct? And I know as a president, I appointed 5 people that I felt would come back and tell the people in Cornwall what's happening at meetings. Every one of the questions that were asked today about roads, about things going on in the clubhouse, all of these questions will now not be answered until September. You had the opportunity to do it in July. When I was the president, we had it in July because, and there's no reflection on now, I felt that the people in Century Village should not go 3 months without knowing what's going on. We're doing the theater over. We have the new TVs going up, sound. You won't know anything about it until September. We're going to appoint a new security chief. If you don't read the Cobrua Reporter, you're not going to know about it because we don't meet until you will meet the new security chief in September. We may appoint them in June, but you will know what their policies are in September because you don't want to give 3 hours. These meetings last an average of 3 hours a day. And you don't want to give 3 hours over 3 months to represent the people that your president appointed you to represent. And I have to tell you the truth. I feel that that is wrong.
Just to expand on what Mike is saying, since we will not be meeting, what I will be doing is, and I did it previously, is I will make a report of what the M&O committee comes up with management and have it posted on each building every month.
June Melnick, Exeter. My big concern, not having a meeting until September, is we are going into the hurricane season in June through November, and if I can recall from last year, there were lots of problems that the community had, which some of us knew about and dealt with, and where a lot of us knew nothing about. So I think not having a meeting in July is not the right thing in regards to lots of the issues that you spoke about, Mike, but also about the hurricane season.
June, what we're going to be doing is we're going to have a meeting, probably late May, early June, regarding hurricane, and all the associations will be invited, and whatever postings we have to do, we'll do.
All right. No more good and welfare for the delegates? Right, Sid.
I think I'm going out on a limb here because I'm not sure about what the parliamentary procedure is, even though I chair the Parliamentary Committee. But we have just had a lot of discussion about a July meeting. It gave me some new thoughts. I know Mike is not a delegate, so he can't make a motion. But having thought about what we talked about, the discussion was now, and hopefully if I can do this, I would like to make a motion to reconsider the motion to have a July meeting. That we don't have a quorum, that would be correct. So I guess that answers my question, and I can't make the motion.
I don't think so.
Any other good and welfare for the delegates? For the motion, you need a quorum. All right, good and welfare for residents, please, on the side, 2 minutes.
Good morning, Mr. President, delegates, and neighbors. Just as a point of information, a delegate asked about this new chain link fence structure adjacent to the pool. There is construction going on right now in card room 1, and I've been told by the people that installed the cage, or whatever you want to call it, there is now a dumpster inside that cage. And the debris from the second floor is going to be brought down a private stairwell that comes right out into that area, which is between the bike rack and the indoor pool structure. And the reason why it's got curtains on it is obviously for aesthetic reasons. And that's just a temporary structure. I'm sure the site administrator can confirm that, but my understanding is it's not permanent, and it's just to cosmeticize the dumpster, which is necessary for the removal of debris pursuant to the new card room that they're building. The only thing I wanted to say about the July meetings in general is I agree with the delegate that we haven't done enough in the past to address the hurricane season. We did have a long period of inactivity in Century Village, but as we learned last year, hurricanes can strike, and we only dodged that one by a few miles. And I think that, I agree with Sid Schwartz that in the height of the hurricane season, you should have a general meeting. Now, I'm glad to hear that the associations will recommend meetings, and I hope that everybody attends that meeting. And that's it. Have a great summer.
Sybil Fiano, Mantua A. In reference to the new thing that you're building, the round tables in the courtroom 2, there will not be enough of them. Why are they not putting some round tables in courtroom A to accommodate people?
We discussed that with the, Stanley and I discussed that with the administrator, and I believe that they're going to be moved against the south wall in card room A.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
The next question I have, there is a bus stop across the street from Fanshawe A at Exeter. I cannot use that bus stop because I can't stand there in the sun, it's much too hot. And in the rain, I get soaking wet, so I still have to walk a block and a half to a kiosk. When are you going to put a kiosk up there? I was promised there was going to be one.
Last week, we went around reviewing where the bus stops are. I don't recall promising a kiosk or a bus shelter, in that particular area, but we did go around with the site administrator, with the academy supervisor, to determine where we need, if any, additional bus stops. So we're working on that.
Thank you.
Good morning, Marilyn Henry from Wolverton A. I want to know about the buses at night, because the bus drivers are supposed to call out the different stops, and they don't do it. And a lot of people don't know where they are.
We'll bring it to Omar's attention, because that's always been a problem.
Okay, thank you.
At one time, we had a listing of the stops that each bus, takes, and the driver's supposed to use it, but we'll talk to Omar about that.
Because at night, a lot of people, I'm telling you, they don't know where to get off.
I will reserve comment on that comment.
Robert Adler, Guilford. I'd like to talk about road safety. I've been coming here for 37 years, and every time I get down here, I always see cars going in the bus lanes. And I know they've made some improvements, they put up some bus signs, and some of them are big and some of them are small. But they got to do a better job with all the bus lanes and putting up better signs or making lines on the road that show which is the road to go into, as opposed to the way it is now, because it's been a problem for 37 years, and still it happens.
We've, painted on the ground, bus stop with large letters. We put up yellow and black signs. There's an old French expression, I don't know if everyone understands French, but that garnished helping, not what you do.
Would someone please translate that for me?
You go down East Village Avenue, and there's big signs, bus lane only, and yet I'll come by and I'll see a guy make the turn and go right into the bus lane. It says, don't enter bus lanes only, and they do it anyway.
Al,
People,
I agree with you. There's some big ones, but there are some small ones. And if you take a drive around, look, you'll see some very small signs.
basically, coming out of the associations in the middle, yes, it can be hairy. Coming out of the high rises, it's difficult, yes.
Good morning, my name is Jay Rosenfeld, I'm from Ainsley. There was minor discussion about the hurricanes, and I think discussions about the hurricanes shouldn't be minor. I happen to be a member of CERT, and I also know from calling the Palm Beach office that there are some members from CERT. Now, CERT is a Civilian Emergency Response Team, and what we do, God forbid if there's a disaster in our community, we go out, we have handheld portable radios, shortwave radios. There is a radio operator at the main area, which would probably be the clubhouse, and we check on the apartments, we check on damage in the community, we check on people who need assistance, and we contact each other, and if the phone service is down, that's why we have a ham operator in the community to go to the service. I haven't heard anything about anybody trying to help anybody during the hurricane. And I'm wondering, I could get a CERT representative down to the next meeting, whether it be in July and September, to go and explain exactly what it is. I am certified through CERT, which means I went through many days and hours of education on how to put out fires how to work on resuscitating people, and how to get things together. And I've listened to some of the stuff that goes on at this meeting, and I think this is very important for the community to look into. And if it's all right, I would try and get someone from CERT down here at the next meeting, whenever it may be, to go over and explain everything, maybe a little better than I can. But I think that as the head of the community here, something should be put together to try and help the members who are here through the hurricane season. So God forbid if something drastic happens.
Sir, we've been through Hurricane Wilma, Hurricane Irma. We're always on top of it. This group, the M&O Committee, SunWest, they're always on top of it. Are you aware what we're classified on now, what we're classified as now, and what we were classified during Wilma? You don't know. We know all of this. We're all aware of this, and we do work with our people and protect our people and help our people. Will you guys back me on that, please?
And after Wilma, we were talking about having a CERT, program here. We couldn't get any volunteers because we were working closely with the commissioner and the representatives, and it just didn't work. We couldn't get enough people.
But you don't have to get certified CERT people, because in my community that I came from, Point Beach, we had people who were working with us that were not certified. So it's not that everybody has to become a CERT member. If buildings, if the communities would get together and just work something out, but you still, what's very important, you gotta remember that we lost phone service, and forget the electricity, so you have candles, or you've got a battery operated thing. But God forbid, you have to get someone who is infirm somewhere, or somebody who's got to keep their prescriptions refrigerated. There's got to be something to help these people. And what are you doing to do something like that? Yes, we were not badly affected by the hurricanes, and but it seems that a lot of times things are just, the hands are being thrown up in the air.
Not true, sir. And you haven't been here.
Al, let me answer. After Wilma, I more or less helped coordinate the entire program in the village. I worked closely with the representatives. I worked closely with the commissioner. We were a distribution center. We had people from the high school. We had Air Force, Air Patrol kids. We had other volunteers that went around from door to door, building to building, to make sure everyone was safe. We made sure everyone had food. So this time around, it wasn't as bad. In Wilma, we lost electricity for at least 11, 12 days. And we were on top of it. We had everything under control. We never lost one person. And we took care of everyone. This time, we were lucky. The electricity was only out a couple of days. But Mike and I ran around the village, made sure that those units that didn't have electricity had water, had ice, whatever they needed. So on a small scale, we took care of a big problem.
It seems that whatever I'm telling is going over everybody's head, and nobody seems to be interested. Nobody came to my building when I had no electricity. I didn't see anybody coming through Ainsley. So I don't know where you were doing all these wonderful things. And, but I said what I wanted to say, and there's one other thing that I'm interested in, and I don't know how to take care of it, and it has to do also during the
just referring to the gentleman's previous discussion about the hurricanes, you have someone who wants to know how to get involved. I think someone should speak to him afterwards privately and see what can be done. Not to say we know everything, we don't need any more help on this.
We didn't say that, Ted. We said there's going to be a meeting, Ted, at the end of May and June. Every association will partake in the meeting with SendWest, with First Service, and we'll get organized in the event there's a hurricane. So we're not saying, you know, we're overlooking it. We're first going to start the program going. You're shaking your head. You're going to be part of it too. You're the president.
Ted, every year,
It certainly sounds like you had someone coming up here saying, I want to see if I can help, and you say we have it all under control. We did it 13 years ago with Wilma. That's what it's sounding like to the people out here.
No, that's what it sounds like to you. That's what you're assuming it.
Right.
That isn't what was said.
Ted, but what usually happens is, every year we contact Commissioner Berger, and she comes down with the county guys who are in charge of evacuations, and they tell us what they are cutting out, and every year they cut out something different. And I agree with you that if someone does want to volunteer, we should take the time after the meeting to talk to them and see if they can or can't help. It's a respect thing. I think if someone comes up here and says, even though it didn't work before, Stanley's right, he tried, I know, they tried before, it didn't work, but it's a whole new ball game. We should meet with them because if they're willing to volunteer, maybe we can use them. And you know, maybe we can't, but at least if someone's willing to volunteer, we should listen to them. You're right.
Sheila Prince from Ainsley. When the woman got up before about the card tables and card room 2 that moved into there, it brought to mind that the Mahjong players have the exact same problem. They took the Mahjong tables from card room 1 while they're doing the construction and moved them into card room 2. Well, the tables are really, really close to each other. We have so many of the plain square tables that nobody uses. Yeah, but the majority of the tables are those square tables that are rarely used. They're empty. I know when I play Mahjong on Monday, none of them are used. As a matter of fact, there was a card group sitting at a Mahjong table playing cards. And the tables are almost on top of each other. What's wrong with moving them across the hall to card room A and spreading them out so people don't have to be on top of each other?
Stanley and I met with the administrator just the other day, Monday I believe it was, right Stan? After the meeting, we brought this problem up to them, and they assured us that they would correct the problem. So let's give them a chance to correct the problem. If they don't, contact Stanley or me, and we will once again look into it.
All right. Any other good welfare? All right. Make a motion to adjourn. Seconded. Everybody be well. Have a healthy and a happy summer, and let's hope we don't have to hurricane ourselves.